Hello, welcome to Shivajirao S. Zondale College of Pharmacy. Myself, Dr. Manisha Vite, Associate Professor of Pharmacognosy Department. Today I am going to discuss a most widely used topic in analytical fields of herbal, natural, Ayurveda, synthetics and many more fields, that is HPLC, means high performance liquid chromatography, or also known as high pressure liquid chromatography. The technique of high performance liquid chromatography is so called because of its improved performance when compared to classical column chromatography in related to accuracy, precision, and time required for completion of analysis. It is also called as high pressure liquid chromatography. Since high pressure, that is up to 5000 Pascal, is used when compared to classical column chromatography, and as mobile phase was liquid, hence liquid chromatography. Let's start the presentation with introduction. An outcome of the various theories and instrumentation that were originally advocated for liquid chromatography was nothing but the excellence and the most wonderful technique called as high performance liquid chromatography. HPLC is the liquid-liquid chromatography technique where separation of mixtures of components was carried out by using stationary phase and mobile phase. There are different types of chromatography on the basis of the nature of stationary phase and mobile phase, like solid liquid chromatography, liquid liquid chromatography, gas liquid chromatography, and gas solid chromatography. HPLC is the liquid liquid chromatographic technique where separation of mixture of components was carried out by using stationary phase and mobile phase. Now, after the introduction part, we switch to the history of HPLC. After developing liquid chromatography, scientists face a problem of time consumption for completion of analysis due to the flow rate of solvents being dependent on gravity. In 1960s, scientists Kelvin Giddings, Joseph Huber, and the others projected that liquid chromatography can operate in the high efficiency and high pressure mode by modifying the particle size of stationary phase. In 1960s, particle size used from 40 micron to 60 micron, which was improved in 1970s from 10 micron to 20 micron. In 1980s, from 5 micron to 3 micron, and in 1990s from 1 micron to 3 micron. Nowadays, by technique used as ultra pressure liquid chromatography by using particle size 1 micron to 3 micron. After history, let's go to understand the principle behind the separation in HPLC. The separation principle of HPLC is based on the distribution of the analyte, that is sample, between a mobile phase, that is eluent, and a stationary phase, that is packing material of the column. And it is types of liquid-liquid chromatography separation depends on partition coefficient of components. The components of the sample separate based on their differing interactions with the column packing. If a species interacts more strongly with the stationary phase in the column, it will be spend more time in stationary phase and therefore have a greater retention type. There are two types of HPLC techniques. First is normal phase, in that when in HPLC analysis stationary phase use is polar in nature like silica, and mobile phase is non-polar in nature like hexane, propane, called as normal phase HPLC technique. And the second is reverse phase, when in HPLC analysis Stationary phase use is non-polar in nature like carbon bonded silica, and mobile phase is polar in nature like acetonitrile, methanol, water, called as reverse phase HPLC technique. At the beginning, when HPLC discovered, stationary phase was polar in nature and mobile phase was non-polar in nature. By this technique, non-polar molecules travel faster due to more affinity towards the mobile phase and eluted first. Nowadays, almost 90% drugs contain polar molecules, and if we use normal phase chromatography to analyze these molecules, it takes more time to elute. Hence, scientists discover the technique by reversing the phase in HPLC and use stationary phase as non-polar in nature and mobile phase polar in nature. Due to reverse in phase, this technique known as reverse phase HPLC technique. By this technique, polar molecules travel faster due to the more affinity towards the mobile phase and eluted first. Next is instrumentation of HPLC and its different components. It contains solvent delivery system, pump and mixing unit, injector and column, detector and last recorder. The first component of HPLC system is solvent delivery system or solvent reservoirs. It holds the mobile phase used for analysis. Mainly, it is manufactured from glass and having different in capacity from 100 ml to 10 liters. Analysts have to prepare mobile phase as per method and kept in solvent reservoirs, that is HPLC glass bottles, which was used throughout the analysis. It protects the mobile phase from contamination and from volatilization. The port dip into mobile phase and mobile phase suck by using pump and forcefully pump into column. Next component of HPLC is pumps and mixing units, which help to take the mobile phase from solvent reservoirs and mix as per method, program and pump in column in continuous manner without any disruption in flow. In this, pump is used to take the mobile phase from solvent reservoirs and pump into column with pressure. Mixing units mix the two or more mobile phase which come from solvent reservoirs and degas it. Then a combined mobile phase pump in column by pump. There are two common types of HPLC pump. First is reciprocating pumps and syringe pumps. Reciprocating pumps are by the far most common pump used and can have single piston or dual piston. Dual pistons are typically preferred. The prepared sample filled in HPLC vial and kept in sampler. From vial, sample was collected by injector and inject into mobile phase and through mobile phase in carry into column for separation. So the next component was injector. Injector inject the sample solution in mobile phase before column entry. Through mobile phase, sample enter into column for separation. The injection is performed with an injection loop that must be filled and then injected into the system. The volume of the injection loop plays a major role in the volume of sample injected. On a general basis, injection loops vary from 1 to 500 microliter. Now the next component of HPLC, to which we can say heart of HPLC, that is column. Column is the most important part of HPLC system, which decided the efficiency of separation. Column consists of different types of material like polar or non-polar, having various length from 5 cm to 30 cm with various dimension from 2 mm to 50 mm and particle size from 1 micron to 20 micron. Nowadays, different functional groups also attach with silica, named as cyano group, that is cyano column, amino group, that is amino column, nitro group, that is nitro column, etc., which is available for separation of special components. Also, the percentage of carbon loading increase up to 24%, which help in better separation and resolution between closely elevated components. For better life of column, it should be properly washed with washing solvents after analysis and kept in provided cabinet. After separation in column, components was travel through mobile phase for detection into detector. So let's start the detector point. Recorders are used to detect the components which was separated by column. Depends on the nature of components, different types of detectors are used as follows. That is UV visible detector, then photodiode array detector, then refractive index detector, fluorimetric detector, and conductivity detector. Most of the component consist of chromophore, means they having properties to absorb UV visible light. For all these components analysis, UV visible detectors are suitable which having wavelength range from 200 nanometer to 800 nanometer. Now those components don't having the chromophore and depends upon their nature or other detector like refractive index detector, fluorimetric detector, conductivity detector, etc. are used. After detection, components response was recorded by recorders. So the last component of HPLC instrumentation was recorders. Recorders are used to record the response obtained from detectors. They record the baseline and all the peaks obtained. The recorder helps analyze and interpret the data. By software help, recorder shows the response in form of peaks, which can called as HPLC peaks. The sheets consist of peaks with peak area values, retention time values, tailing factor values, theoretical plate values, etc., known as HPLC chromatogram. Next is the application of HPLCs. There are lots of application each and every fields. Science discover many therapeutic constituents from herbal formulations which used to cure several diseases. Synthetic drug like antibiotics, steroids having many adverse effects, hence herbal formulation become important part in human life. The growing popularity in plant-based drugs is leading to a fast increasing market for plant-based drug, pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals. Various HPLC techniques are available for standardization of herbal drugs depends on chemical nature of active constituents. The development of reliable analytical technique for herbal drugs, mainly polyherbal formulations which can consistently profile the phytochemical composition, including quantitative analysis and the major constituent is main challenge to scientists. Standardization is a significant step for the formation of consistent biological activity and a consistent chemical profile for production and manufacturing of herbal drugs. HPLC technique is mostly used for standardization of herbal drug formulations. HPLC technique having ability to found out the active chemical constituents by qualitatively and quantitatively. Day by day, science grows faster and more complicated and effective synthetic molecules come in market. Analysis of these molecules are having limitations with single chromatographic technique, so some hyphenated techniques in chromatography can be used for analysis. Following are the some hyphenated techniques in chromatography, that is LCMS, LCNMR, LCIR, GCMS, GCIR, etc. Hope so it is useful and helpful and informative presentation to all. Thank you.